Dhairyavi ma'am, Media Cell, Ahuti ma'am, and under the able leadership of Principal Sir, we have been churning out since long that we need to give some variety to the students so far as the teaching skills is concerned. And so I went with a proposal to Sir that I want to arrange some guest lectures, online lecture series for the students. And he was keen enough to say, yes, go on with this noble thought and unique thought. So we are starting with our very first lecture of this series, which is on vocabulary development. And I have invited Dhairyavi ma'am, who is assistant professor into Eli Morbi College of Engineering. Without wasting much of the time, I just want Sir to inaugurate this series that I have initiated of lectures for our students. Sir, please, your kind words.
Thank you, Dr. Srivastav. I'm really happy that you started with a. I think we all invite experts for various sessions, but this is a lecture series. That's a great thing because we all, being an engineering stream, we are good at technical knowledge, but again, communication is still we are working on it, but need to improve a lot. And probably with this lecture series, I think specific component that you kept. That's a vocabulary, that's development or understanding of how to talk, how to behave, how to answer a particular call, or how to face the interview, or what kind of things are to be kept while preparing a report. So technical writing skill is very much required. Probably this kind of series will definitely improve the terms of writing, in terms of talking, in terms of listening, in terms of reading, everything. I think this will be covered. So that's a wonderful way of at least updating the knowledge of in the form of communication skill. So this is very much required nowadays because even though we are in position to have everything our technical ability, but if we cannot express properly, that will not help us students to get a good job or not to will not be in position to even impress upon the authority where he is working. So this is very, very important, and this is an important initiative Dr. Srivastava has taken. Probably this kind of series we may have for various, let's say, software or hardware, or let's say practical application of various technical knowledge. So these kind of things I think is very, very important. Similarly, we can also arrange for, I think under Rusha, we have got many things of 50 hours training and 100 hours training for making students ready to face the interview. So I think this is a very, very important initiative, and that too with a faculty with Eli College Morbi, and because we have good faculty almost in all colleges, all communication skill teachers are all almost having a PhD and they are well versed with this particular knowledge. So I think this is what we have trapped. Dr. Srivastava has rightly pointed out the lecture series. So let's go ahead with this, and I would like to congratulate Dr. Srivastava and his team, and thanks to Dr. Dhairyavi for extending his support to our institution. So I'm very happy and glad to inaugurate this particular lecture series. Thank you very much.
Sir, I would like to thank you in person. Because you created this platform that all the teachers could be together into LD when you were into LD, yeah. And that is the reason why everybody came into one umbrella, and I formed a group that day itself, and we all were very happy to have such a rapport, and we were desperately waiting for that we all work in the same field, same fraternity, but we hardly know each other. We know by names, but we hardly know each other. So this whole development took place during that particular training itself. Today it's materializing.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Materializing. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Ma'am, we welcome you, and definitely our students will be very, very, very benefited. You have such an immense knowledge, and definitely you will give an extra things to my students, and they will remember this, and their vocabulary shall develop like anything. All the best, and please, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you.
The students are all at YouTube.
Thank you, Himanshu sir, for your kind words. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the patron of this webinar series, Dhairyavi sir, and very dear Himanshu sir, for this opportunity and for giving an opportunity to connect with the students of your college. So thank you very much. With this, I start my lecture for today. Thank you.
Sir, sir, I would just like to interrupt, man. Just a minute. Sir,
Yeah.
the moment principal sir of Ali Moulvi College came to know and other Rajkot College, they came to know that these things are going to happen, they immediately said that our students should also be benefited. So their students are also watching, sir. On our
great.
YouTube live channel, even they are also watching.
Yes,
Wonderful.
yes, very
Wonderful.
much.
Great.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon, students. Well, it is said, in fact, John Brown has said, vocabulary enables us to interpret and to express. If you have a limited vocabulary, you will also have a limited vision and limited future. I am good. And so today, we are going to take the first step in broadening our vision and in turn our future by studying vocabulary building unit 1 of basic English. Right? I just share the screen so you get a better idea. Okay, is the screen visible? Sir, Himanshu sir, is the screen visible? Sir, is the screen visible? Hello. Yeah, thank you. Okay. No, just knowing words is not enough. You should know when to use which word at an appropriate time, right? Word formation. Now, in linguistics, word formation is the creation of new words. So here we are going to focus on how to form words or how words are formed, okay? And what are the processes involved in forming words, so that in future, if required, you can also form words. Of course, there is accepting the words and putting it into dictionary requires some formalities and all. But let us study, and by studying the process of word formation, in turn, we will enrich our vocabulary. That is the main aim of this unit. So creation of the new word is known as word formation. The processes which are involved in word formation is compounding, clipping, blending, derivation, creative respelling, coinage, and borrowing. We will look at all the processes in detail in this unit. First is compounding. As the name suggests, compound means addition of anything. In chemistry, compound means addition of two elements. Compound is created by adding two or more elements. Similarly, in linguistics, compound words are created by adding two or more components. We will say components, So it occurs when two or more words are joined together to make one longer word. So if you say A plus B, A is component 1, B is component word 1, word 2, then we'll get a C, which is a longer word. So that C can be A plus B or B special or A special. We'll look into details, right? But compounding is classified, or it's divided into two classifications: semantic classification and syntactic classification. Now, keep in mind, students, when there is the reference of the word semantic, means there is a change in the meaning of the word. Whenever you read or listen to the word semantic, means there is some change in the meaning of the word. And whenever you read syntactic, means it has connection with the parts of speech, the grammatical structure, right? So as the name suggests, that is how the process the resultant words, like when we are talking about semantic compounds, there the meaning of the words will have some changes. We will be talking about syntactic words, there the parts of speech of the words will be changing. How? Let's look into the details. Now, semantic compounds, there are four types of semantic compounds, like endocentric, exocentric, copulative, and apositional. When we talk about endocentric compounds, you might have studied Sanskrit and Gujarati. Okay, you might have studied Sanskrit and or Gujarati or both the languages at your school level. There, you might have studied samas. So, endocentric compound is nothing but Tatpurush samas in Sanskrit tradition. Right? What does it mean? It means that endocentric compounds contains it is a mixture of two words. In those two words, the one word is known as head. Here, you look at the example I've given, A plus B. Okay, so component A, the word component A is one word, which is known. We'll consider it as component one. Then B is another component. So A plus B will get a special B. Like for example, the example given here is dog house. So dog house, the compound is made by dog plus house. We get dog house, right? But here the head in the word dog house is house. Here we are talking about a house. Which house? Whose house? Which kind of house? The main meaning here is house. So here the house is the head of the compound word dog house. Then which house or the word which answers which house or whose house is the modifier of the word dog house. So here the modifier is dog. So now when we add dog to house, it becomes dog house, means the house for dogs, right? So the words formed by this kind of process are known as endocentric compounds. Then we come to exocentric compounds. In Sanskrit, if you have heard about Bahuvrihi Samas, in Sanskrit, Bahuvrihi Samas is similar to exocentric compound in linguistics. So if we wish to define the process of exocentric compound, that the process is A plus B denotes a special kind of an unexpressed semantic head. We'll come to know by the example we are discussing. Now the example which I have given for exocentric compound word is white collar. White collar. If we look at each component in isolation, white means a color, a white color. Collar means the collar of the shirt or something. But when we add both the components, the meaning, the compound word which we get, its meaning is entirely different to that of the meaning of the isolation words. Collar, white collar means, if you look at the meaning of the word in dictionary, you'll find out that white collar means salaried jobs, right? People who work in offices or who work in industries, who get the salary at the end of the month. That means white collar jobs are exactly opposite to daily wagers. જેને આપણે ગુજરાતીમાં ધાડિયા કહીએ છે, બરોબર, જે લોકો સવારે કામ કરે અને સાંજે એ લોકોને એના કામના પૈસા મળી જાય, right? No, those are daily wagers. White collar jobs are exactly opposite to that kind of jobs. Salaried. So it is white collar jobs have a respect associated with the work. Okay, that means the people who are doing white collar jobs are not daily wagers, right? So white is means different. Collar, the word in isolation means different, but when both those words get together to form a compound, the meaning of the entire exocentric compound is very different from the words in isolation, right? Then the second process is copulative compounds. The copulative compound words are formed by which way? Here the process is A plus B is equal to A plus B, right? That means here, see, first, initially itself, I had cleared it out. When we are talking about semantic compounds, means the changes in or the difference. We are talking about the meaning of the words. So keep in mind that we are talking about the difference or the similarity in the meaning of the compound words. Bitter-sweet is an example. Now, when bitter-sweet compound is formed by addition of the word bitter plus sweet. Remember, bitter plus sweet will get bitter-sweet. So, the meaning of the bitter is, and the meaning of the word sweet is retained in the compound, copulative compound bitter-sweet. How did you find the experience? The experience was bitter-sweet. That means, of course, farewells generally are bittersweet. You might have experienced your school farewells when you graduated from your 12th standard, right? So how was the experience? It was bittersweet. Means what? Yes, I was happy that I had passed my school. I'm happy that I'm going to college, but it is bitter because I'm sad that I'm going to leave such a wonderful institution. The friends which I made are, maybe they'll come, maybe a few of them will join me in the colleges which I go. Few others I'll have to be apart from that. So the experience was bittersweet, right? So the meanings of the components are retained in the copulative compound. Then comes apositional compound. Now in apositional compound, what is the process here? The lexemes that have two contrary attributes, means like A and B, provide a different description of the same referent. For example, the word is maid servant, right? Now, what is the meaning of the word? The maid servant word is made from, is prepared by maid plus servant. It means, in a way, it means the same, and still it means the difference. When we look at the meaning for the word maid, M-A-I-D, maid, it refers to a female. The word maid refers to a female. There are words like bridesmaid, right? So, and servant means somebody who works under us, right? Servant means somebody who works under us. Whatever we ask that person to do, that person will do. Servant doesn't have a gender biases. Well, when we refer the word maid, that means we're talking about any female. So maid servant, the entire compound will, in a way, has the meaning of both the words, right? Maid means female and servant means worker. So maid servant, the meaning of the word maid servant is a female worker, right? Aposition. That's why it is known as apositional. It depends which word is positioned before or after which word, and due to that, the meaning of the apositional compound is decided. And that's why this process is known as this compound is known as apositional compounds. So this was about playing with the meanings of the words, right? The semantic compounds. Now we come to syntactic compounds. Here, when we make words, the difference is there in the part of speech. The meaning of the words are retained, only the part of the speech of the compound word is changed, or it remains the same. It depends. So there are again three types of syntactic compounds. Noun compounds. Okay. So the compound words formed by combination of two nouns, right? That compound is known as noun compound. For example, bed, which is a noun, plus room again is a noun. So bed plus room is equal to bedroom. Bedroom is again a noun. Second, verb noun compounds. Here, the example is spoil sport. Spoil is a verb. Sport is a noun. Spoil sport. Spoil plus sport. You get a spoil sport again is a noun. So the compounds formed by combination of a word and a noun is a verb noun compound. Verb compound. Now the examples of verb compounds are quite a few. The most common compounds which you will find is syntactic compounds, which you'll find is noun compounds. Then you'll find after the noun and compounds in the popularity chart comes verb noun compounds. Compared to noun compounds, there are less number of verb noun compounds, but there are verb noun compounds. But the least common compounds you'll find in English is verb. Okay, see, very rarely, I would say that very rarely took and did, right? That then go and do. So these are the examples of we studied that by addition of two words, a new longer word is formed, and that process is known as compounding. And compounding is further classified into semantic and syntactic compounds according to its characteristics. After compounding, the process is of clipping. Now, as the name suggests, clipping means you shorten something, you cut certain things, and you retain certain things. There's a longer word, you cut certain amounts of letters from those longer words, and the word which you get is known as clipped word. Right? It is known as a shortening or a truncation. And actually, if you look at the history of clipping words, it is found out that people, it is a field specific. For example, you have a list of clipped words for the field in the field of education, which the people belonging to the field of education, that is students and teachers in particular, are conversant or do they know these words. Maybe a common man, okay, somebody who is not part of this education system, if they hear these words, they'll be confused. They will not understand that which word these people are speaking or what is the meaning of that word. Similarly, clipped words are found in the field of defense. But if we go and if we are listening to the conversation of defense personals, we will not understand each and every word they are speaking, because they'll be using lots of clipped words, which they themselves will know. We won't. So that is the history. Even in the field of medical, the doctors and nurses, they have their own set of clipped words, which is known to them in that field, but not to us, right? So the clipped words emerged in particular fields, and then slowly and steadily the common masses then came to know the meanings of the clipped words, and then as the clipped words became popular to their original words, those words were added in the dictionaries. This is how the clipped words emerged in the dictionary. Once you look at the examples of the clipped words, you will understand what I'm exactly trying to say. So there are types of clipping. Types of clipping: final, initial, medial, complex. The names of these clippings are given according to to the number of letters. Like it is in with reference to the position of words which are clipped. Like if in a longer word, if there's a longer word and initial portion of that longer word is clipped, right? Then it is known as final clipping, because the final portion remains. That's why it is known as final clipping. See, final or back clipping. It is, and final clipping is the most common type of clipping among all the four. You'll find maximum clipped words. You'll find that they are the type of final clipping. Okay, here the beginning, the initial portion is retained. It is kept. That means the back portion is removed, and that's why it is known as final clipping. If the initial portion of the word is removed and the back portion is retained, then that type of clipping will be known as initial clipping. But we are talking about final clipping first. See, look at the example. The number one, advertisement. Here, ad is retained. Now, who says advertisement these days? Not many. Mostly we refer to. Did you look at that ad? Did you look at that new ad of coronavirus? It's quite cool, right? It is funny. The how the subject is treated is funny, but here the focus is on the word ad. Nobody says advertisements these days. So that is the power of clipboard. Right? Ad here, advertisement, the entire back portion is removed. Only the front two components are retained, and that's why ad. That's why it's known as final clipping. You looked at one of our most favorite words. Now the example is from education. Exam. How was your exam? How did your exam? Do you think you'll pass your exam? Actually, the original word is examination. It's a long word. People find it long to pronounce. It takes time. So what did the students and teachers do? What did the educationists do? They retained the first portion and they clipped e-nation. So the shorter version became popular, and now it's always exam. These days nobody refers to the word examination. People say exam, right? Similarly, gas. Actually, the original word is gasoline, but I do not remember anybody saying gasoline these days. Everybody says gas. Gym. Did you go to gym today? How is the gym? So gym actually is the longer word is gymnasium, but nobody says gymnasium. People prefer gym. Gymnasts also is a longer word. The clip word gym is used for gymnasts too. Then memo. I got a memo from traffic police for. Why did you get the memo? Because we were going triple savari, right? So actually the word is memorandum, but nobody uses memorandum. We prefer the clipped version of the original word. Pub. Actually, the original word is public house, but people prefer using pub. Pop music. How was the pop music? Today is, by the way, Happy World Day. Happy World Music Day to all of you. Popular music. How was the pop? How's the pop star? Right? What do you mean by pop star? Pop means popular. Okay, popular music. The clipped word is pop. So this is final clipping. Now we'll come to initial clipping. As I mentioned before, in initial clipping, the final part of the prototype is retained. That means the initial part is clipped. Example, the popular examples, telephone. The word is telephone, but who uses the word telephone? Almost no one. We use phone. Similarly, another popular word, internet. But what if we say, oh, my net recharge is over? Nobody says my internet recharge is over, right? So clip initial word. Then comes medial clipping. Now, if we have to rate these four clipping types, then the most popular is final clipping. Then comes initial clipping. Then comes medial clipping. Yes, there are words who have medial clipping, but compared to final and initial clipping, medial clipping words are less. What happens in medial clipping? Here, the final and initial clipping, here they are combined. Medial clipping is a combination of final clipping and initial clipping. Okay, that means a few words from the first half is retained. Okay, few words from the second half is retained, that are joined together and a word is formed. That is one type of medial clipping. Another type of medial clippings, a few words from the initial portion and a few words from the final portion, they are clipped and the middle part is retained. That process is also known as medial clipping. Like, for example, influenza. Now, how is medial clipping decided? You look at the sentence that the syllable which is stressed, like In the example influenza, if you speak influenza, automatically the word flu is given more importance. It is forcefully said. So that syllable is known as stress word is retained. That word is known as medial clip word. For example, I've got flu. Nobody says I'm affected by influenza. Or fridge. Please break something from the fridge. The word is refrigerator, but fridge, refrigerator and rain, they are removed, and what remains is fridge, because that is the stress syllable, right? So as I explained before, medial clipping has two processes. Either some portion from final is retained, some portion from initial is retained, and a word is made. For example, mathematics. For example, the word mathematics, math and S are retained, becomes maths. Whose lecture? Which lecture? We have maths lecture. We have maths exam, right? So math, M-A-T-H, math, okay, that portion was retained from the initial portion, and S was written from the back portion. And we got a medial clip word known as maths. Then comes specs. The specs, the original word is spectacles. So S-P-E-C, and F is retained, we get specs. The second type of medial clipping is a contraction. There's a longer word. The longer word is contracted due to the problem or the influence of rhythm. Okay. Sometimes when we say madam, it takes longer time compared to ma'am. The D is too much stressed. So what we do, we remove the D and we get a word ma'am. It's easier spoken. Okay. It is easy to speak. It is faster to speak. Okay. And as a result, your fluency is maintained. While we speak madam, the D hinders the fluency while speaking. And that's why we remove the D and we got ma'am. Now that is an example of medial clipping. For example, there's a word fantasy. Here, the word fantasy was too long when we were speaking fast, when we were trying to speak fluently. So what happened? We removed the middle portion and we contracted the word and we generated fancy. Okay, it is easier when we speak compared to fantasy. Then comes, last but not the least, complex clipping. Okay. Now what happens in complex clipping? There are certain words. Okay, there are certain compounds in which there are the final or the middle portion or the initial portion. Some portion of the complex word is retained while the remaining ones are clipped. Okay, so when the compound words are clipped, then that process is known as complex clipping. What happens in complex clipping? Out of two words, okay, compounds as we studied are made up of two words. Out of two words, two components, one component remains intact, one component is retained, while some portion of another component is clipped. It might be first component or second component, doesn't matter. It depends on the words, right? So when that process is done, then that word is known as complexly clipped word. Example, if you look at the example cablegram. Now, cablegram, the compound word is cable telegram. Now, that was a too long word. So what did people do? They retained the word cable. They retained the first component, but they removed tele out of telegram, and they formed a clipped compound word, which is cablegram. Right? Second option. Take an example. Now, there was a compound word known as optical art. In this type of word, they retained the second component entirely. So say they kept art as it is, and they removed optical out of optical. Okay, they retained op out of optical, right? And then they formed a compound clip word of art. So this process, when we do this process to compound words, then that process is known as complex clipping. I hope you have understood the process of compounding and clipping till here, because now we are moving over to the process of blending. The blending, as the name suggests, it mixes the words. You all might have blenders at your home. What is the function of the blender? You know, you put all the ingredients and then you blend. It mixes. It finely mixes whatever is put in that mixture, right? So a blend is a word formed by joining parts of two words after clipping. So for the process of blending, clipping is necessary, right? So what happens? There are two words are there. Few portions of both the words are clipped, and the remaining portions which are retained, they are joined together to form an entirely new word. That new word is known as blending. Like for example, smog. Okay, again smog. Now smog is comparatively a new word. Smog, there actually if originally there wasn't any word like smog in dictionary. It is added later on. Why? Because now there's a fog is a winter phenomenon, right? In winter we have fogs, but due to pollution, day by day the level of smoke has increased in the environment. So now in winters, fog is there, but fog has traces of smoke in it. And that's why to describe that phenomena, that smoky fog, a new word is formed, which is known as smog. That means smoke plus fog gives you smog. Then, suppose you get up late in the morning, right? Instead of 6 or 7 in the morning, you get up around 8 or 9 in the morning, right? And then you start to have your breakfast somewhere after 10. So like 11ish or 12ish, you have a breakfast, and you have a heavy breakfast because you're very hungry. By that time, you got up late and you are hungry. You're starving since you had your dinner at night, supper at night, right? So you have a very heavy breakfast, and after having that breakfast, you feel that you won't be able to eat anything at lunch, right? So for that particular event or that process, a new word was formed, which is known as brunch. It is a combination of breakfast plus lunch, right? So the breakfast, the heavy breakfast you have at 11ish or 12ish in the morning, that heavy breakfast is known as brunch because it is neither the time for breakfast nor the time for lunch. It is somewhere in between, and the amount is heavy, right? And that's why the word brunch is formed, right? Now, there is a subcategory of a blending. There is one subcategory of the blending, which is reduction of word to one of its parts. Right? You have reduced a longer word into a small portion. For example, flew. Now, flew is an example of clipped word also, and also blend words. Then, facts. I wonder whether you guys are aware that facts is a blended word. The longer word for it is facsimile. I haven't heard it for a long time. The word facsimile. So I think to you fax is a popular word while facsimile is not so popular, right? But this is an example of a blended word. Why? Because a small portion of a longer word is retained and it is retained by blending certain portions of the word, right? So that is how blended words are formed. Then comes the process of derivation. Now the derivation, it is the formation of new word by adding affixes. Now what is affixes? It is an inflectible stem or a stem of another word. So affixes are added to form new words. Some portion, not the entire word is added, but a portion of some word which is known as affix is added, and the process is known as derivation. Now there are two types of derivations. If an affix is added before the word, then we get a prefix. If an affix is added after the word, then we get a suffix. The major difference between a prefix and suffix is like semantic compound and syntactic compound, exactly like that. When we add a prefix, we change the meaning of the main word, okay, like semantic compounds, right? When we add a suffix, we change the part of speech, the grammatical structure of the word, like syntactic compound. Okay, so this you need to remember that when we add a prefix, the meaning of the word changes, but when you add a suffix, the grammatical type changes, right? Look at the examples. Types of prefixes. There are 12 different types of prefixes. Okay, you add some portion. Now there are certain there are certain stems. Okay, you add affixes like un or ab. Okay, or you add miss or bal or pseudo. Then the word which we get are negative in nature. You add un to able becomes unable. It is a negative word. You add ab to normal, it becomes abnormal. Again, it's a negative word. You add miss to use, the word you get is misuse. Again, it's a negative word, right? So there are certain affixes which when added to word, the entire word becomes negative word. Similarly, there are certain affixes or prefixes which you add, then the new word will show you the location or the direction. Like you add pre. All right, pre means before. Okay, the meaning of the word pre is before, like before in time or in position or in rank, right? So you add pre position, pre wedding shoot, right? Pre-wedding shoot. So before wedding, there is some photography which happens, right? It is showing you the time, okay, before the wedding, right? Showing you the time. Then post. Post means after. So post-mortem, after dying. Post-mortem, after death, right? Or post-analysis, right? Then maybe there is a prefix known as trans. Trans means across or beyond. So you say transatlantic. That means across the Atlantic. So these are the prefixes which show you the direction or the location. Then comes prefixes of attitude. So which are the prefixes of attitude? Anti, co, counter, contra. Like look, antisocial. That means it is showing you the attitude. Which kind of attitude it is? It is an antisocial behavior. Okay. Then co. coexist, right? Cooperation. It is, these words are showing you the attitude. They are describing the attitude of people, right? Proactive. Right? Then there are prefixes of number. You add these prefixes and it will show you the number. Uni means one. Unilateral, universal, unilingual means one language. Multi, more than one. Multilingual. That person is multilingual. Matlab, he knows more than one languages. The person is bilingual. That means he or she knows two languages. Right? Most of us are either bilingual or trilingual. We do know 2 or 3 languages. Right? Then triangle, quadrilateral, pentagon, decimeter. So deci, penta, quadri, deca, multi, tri, di, bi. These are prefixes of number. Then comes prefixes of emphasizing degree. Now, when you add these prefixes to the word, the entire word shows you some emphasized degree. For example, super. It's a supersonic jet. It's not a simple jet, but a supersonic jet. Alright. Then infra. It's infrared technology. It is as small as that. Right. Then it is overloaded. So it's not just loaded. This is more than that. Overloaded. Or it is ultraviolet. Or subtopic. These are the prefixes of emphasizing degree. Then last but not the least, additive or reflexive prefixes. That means here they are in contrast to each other. Either they add or they subtract. Increase, decrease. Accelerate, decelerate. Displace, replace. Implore, explode. Import, export. These are known as additive or reflexive prefixes. Here we end the types of prefixes. Now we come to types of suffixes. There are 4 types of suffixes. First, noun forming suffixes. That means when you add these suffixes to any word, the resultant word is definitely a noun. If you add ism to feminine, it becomes feminism, which is a noun. You add ism to structure, okay, to structural, it becomes structuralism, which is a noun. Example number 2. You add double E, okay, EE, to pay, it becomes a payee. Payee again is a noun. You add double E to employ, it becomes employee. The word is a noun. Apart from that, you had ship, S-H-I-P, to any word. For example, you add ship to friend. The result is friendship, which is again a noun. I mentioned earlier, when you add suffixes, the parts of speech changes. Okay? Remember that. Right? So there are lists of suffixes for noun forming. Ness, ism, meant, herbalist, management, right? Meekness, historian, iron, historian, ER, maker becomes a noun. TION, exam, examination, right? So hood, priest, you add hood to that, priesthood becomes noun. So these are the examples of noun forming suffixes. Now we come to verb forming suffixes. You add these suffixes, the noun, the word, if it is a noun, if you add this suffix, it becomes a verb. For example, en. You add en to enlight, it becomes enlighten, which is a verb. You add en to fright, it becomes frighten, which is a verb. Similarly, you add ke, okay, to invoke, it becomes invoke, it's a noun. You add ke to revive, it becomes revoke, again, which is a verb. Right? So these are word forming suffixes. Like there are more examples. You add either IFI or FY to clear. It becomes clarify. Now again, it's a verb. You add FY to satisfaction. It becomes satisfy, which is a verb. This is the function of suffixes. Similarly, there are adjective forming suffixes. For example, you add able to any word, the result which you will get is an adjective. Habitable, unforgettable. You add ish to any word. You add ish to style, it becomes stylish, again, which is an adjective. Okay, you add ish to boy, it becomes boyish, which is again an adjective. Right? You add ic to rhythm, it becomes rhythmic, it's an adjective. And now, last but not the least, there are adverb forming suffixes. For example, you add ly to any word, the result which you will get is definitely an adverb. Firstly, partly, rightly. Like similarly, you add wise to any word, it becomes an adverb. Clockwise, right? Row-wise. You add words, W-A-R-D, words. Upward, afterward, right? These words become adverbs. So these were types of suffixes. That is the power of affix, right? If you add before the word, it changes the meaning of the word. If you add after the word, it changes the part of speech, grammatical structure of the word. Now, we come to a very interesting process in word formation, and which is creative respelling. Here, the words, new words, are formed by just changing some portion of spelling. Okay, or rather, you change the entire spelling of the word. The pronunciation remains the same, only the letters are changed. Why is it done? It is actually done to catch the eye or ears of the audience. Somehow human psychology is such that we criticize more rather than appreciating. We won't appreciate anyone, but one chance you'll get to criticize someone, you definitely won't leave that chance. You'll surely grab that chance to criticize. Right? So the point is, we are practiced to catch the mistakes of people, and similarly, we are practiced to catch the spelling errors in words. That means by hook or by crook, the attention of people are definitely attention is given to that mistake. So to catch the attention of people, the people in the industry or the people in advertisements, especially in media, people in media, they change the spellings of popular words to catch the attention of people. Like for example, there's a show, Coffee with Karan. If you look at the word, actually, coffee is spelled C-O-F-F-E. The name of the show, in the name of the show, the spelling is K-O-F-F-E. Why has it done that? To catch the attention of people. Then there is a product which cleans the household products, right? Or which cleans the bathroom. It's a cleaning product. The name of that product is known as Mr. Clean. Now, what is the how is clean? The word clean spelled C-L-E-N. Instead, C is replaced by K. So people will people automatically will give their attention to that product. Arey, the spelling is wrong. What is it? Acha, it's a new product. It's a product's name. Their purpose is solved. Attention, grab. Right? See, the word school. Right? Again, this school, SKOOL, school is the name of a website. Here you see, pronunciation, the sound is not changed, only the spelling is changed. Milk. Now, these are the words I've taken from the well-known hoardings of restaurants, of other companies. These are the names of the companies. Milk, MYLK. Now, when I went to a cafe, right, it was a cafe selling beverages. I looked at the menu card, okay, and every different types of milk had this error in the spelling of milk, MYLK. But why was that done? It was done because to grab the attention of the people, right? So milk, this is, what is it? It is creativity.
Ma'am will be joining us within a couple of seconds. She has some connection issues. Just give me a call that she will be reconnecting, and then the lecture would continue from the way the point it stopped. I hope students you are enjoying this lecture series. Tomorrow we have the lecture at 11 o'clock from 11 to 12. Every day the timings are different depending upon the speaker's free time that we have chosen. We have given the liberty to the teacher to decide that when she or he is free. But be prepared, my dear students, that from Monday to Friday we are going to have these sessions. Tomorrow, again, a new teacher is going to come with
Yeah.
a new topic, and it's from 11 to 12. Tomorrow, students, it's 11 to 12. Please note down that. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Please.
Yeah, there was some network error
No issues,
from my
no
end.
issues.
Yeah, just a moment. I'll continue my
Students, please note tomorrow 11 to 12.
yeah. So before we lost the connection, we were discussing creative respelling. Then the next process of word formation is coining. Okay, coining. In the process of coining, entirely a new word is invented. Entirely. Okay, totally a new word is invented. Now, why is there a need of inventing new words? Now, this process is related to media. As creative respelling was faintly related to media, this process of coining of words is entirely related to media. You know, due to the cutthroat competition, every media house wants to establish their own uniqueness, how they are different from each other. Okay, to grab the attention of their viewers. That's why what they invent new words, which then the new words which they invent, they gave their own meaning to those words. कहते हैं ना तकिया कलाम जो है, right? अमर, this is our media house. We have our own words. We are known by our own words. And then these words become popular. That media house, due to the increase in popularity of that media house, the words which they have coined, those words become popular. Okay, the common mass start using those words, and due to the increase in usage of those words in society, later on these words are then added to the dictionary. Okay, Oxford, Webster's, they all add these new coined words due to the popularity of these words in the society. Okay, so that is how coining of words happen. Okay, it also refers to the extension of name. Okay, as I told you, Mr. Clean. Okay, the new product is launched, or the same product is launched with new features. Now they want to make their mark in the industry. How will they do it? They will invent an entirely new word as the name of that product, and sometimes that product becomes so popular that that process itself is known by that word rather than its original name. Like, for example, all of us use Xerox, the word Xerox. Actually, you might know that Xerox is the name of a company which has invented the photocopier, right? Xerox was the first company which invented the photocopier, which actually sold the photocopier. Okay, but now we do not say I want a photocopy of this original document. What we say, I want a Xerox of that. And Xerox, actually, it's a new word. So now Xerox has become equivalent to a photocopy, right? Photocopy. Then Kodak. Kodak is a company, but now Kodak has become a word. Kodak has become equivalent for a camera. Kodak is one of the company which supplies cameras. But now, what I want to buy? I'm going to buy a Kodak. What Kodak? Actually, what that person is trying to say is that person is going to buy a camera, right? Similarly, Nutella. Nutella is the name of a German chocolate factory. But that product which they sell, the liquid chocolate which they sell, okay, the name of the company is Nutella. Now, what are you using that? I'm using a Nutella. Even if that product, that chocolate, that liquid chocolate is from another company, but still, that is the name of the product, Nutella. Similarly, aspirin. Aspirin actually is a common name of a medicine which is taken for headache or a painkiller actually, right? But even if you take Brufen, what are you taking? I'm taking aspirin. Even if you look at it, it's a Brufen or it's a paracetamol. What are you taking? I'm aspirin. Aspirin, the name became so popular, right? So that is how new words are coined. Now, I'll give you some popular ones. The word muggle. Now, before J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter, there wasn't any word like muggle. But as the popularity of the book and the writer increased, the word muggle is now very much accepted. Muggle means that people or those humans who are not aware about, who doesn't have magic in them. Common people like us. He's a muggle boy, right? So, in fact, I would say that J.K. Rowling is mother of many coined words. Many. Harry Potter, I would say, in her popular work, Harry Potter, there are so many new words. And as the series became popular among all the masses, right, these new words were widely accepted across the entire world, right? Even the word Google. Now, Google is a site's name. It's a search engine, just like Internet Explorer, like Just Night, Firefox, Mozilla, right? But it's a search engine. But Google became so popular. Now, if you try to find the meaning of the word Google in the dictionary, it will say the meaning is search. Google is equivalent to search in English. There was no word. Originally, there was no word like Google in English, right? So this is how coining is done. Intentionally or accidentally, the popularity adds the coined words to dictionary. The last but not the least, the word process, which is left is borrowing. As the name suggests, borrow is to borrow something from someone. उधार में किसी के पास से कुछ लेना, right? जैसे as the word says, English as a language has borrowed many words from almost all the languages of the world. There's a history behind the emergence of English language. How did it emerge? Students of Valley College Morbi do know the story behind that. Unfortunately, we do not have that much of time that I can tell you that story, but I'll tell you the story in short. Why does English has so many borrowed words? I'll give you the examples. How many borrowed words? I'll give you the examples of few of the borrowed words from few of the languages in English. The list is long. If you really want to know, you can search it out on any search engine, or let me say, you can Google it out. You Google it out, Indian words in English. You Google it out, Italian words in English or French words in English, and you'll get the entire list. Not just one or two, but many words. So English language has borrowed many words from all the languages, I must say, or I would say, why has that happened? When English as a language was not existing, when it was emerging, it borrowed words from classical languages like Latin, Greek, okay. Then slowly, even French, it had borrowed words. You will find many French words in English, which actually now have become English words itself. The word restaurant, which we Indians pronounce it as restaurant, is actually a French word. Okay, or the word foolscape. Foolscape notebook. The word foolscape actually is a French word. It has an even history of a French mini revolution, not the French Revolution, but a mini revolution or mini protest in French. The word foolscape has emerged from France, right? Similarly, the word juggernaut, you type it out, You find out the meaning of the word juggernaut in English. It is a word from India, or I would say from Sanskrit. Okay, why has that happened? Now, English people have ruled the world over. The East India Company came to India, stayed, settled, and then we had Crown ruling over India, and then we had to fight our independence. Right? So, during the time they were here, to communicate with the local masses, they had to learn language, the local language, because we Indians didn't know English. They had to learn a few of our languages, and as a result, they took some words from our language and was accepted as English words. Look at the examples. Like the word guru. You'll very much find it in English. Now, guru has become an English word, but originally we all know it is Indian word. The word jungle. Jungle is an Indian word. It's a Hindi word. Okay, it's a Hindi word. The word for jungle in English is forest. But when you look at the dictionary, English dictionary, you'll find jungle there. Okay, you'll find jungle there. Right? Then, let me tell you, juggernaut. If you have a pen and paper, write it down. Juggernaut, the word Juggernaut. If you look at the meaning of the word juggernaut, it says a huge-sized vehicle. A huge-sized vehicle, right? Actually, juggernaut, the word juggernaut has come from the word Jagannath. Okay, some officials from East India Company were, if you get your history correct, then you will know that one of the base of East India Company was Calcutta, Bengal, right? Orissa is its neighboring state. So of course these company officials had extended their hands, their boundaries even to Orissa. So on the auspicious day of Ashadi Beach, they were roaming around and they saw a unique spectacle in front of them. There was a huge mass. There were n number of people pulling a vehicle which was huge in size. Okay, and they were literally pulling. So they asked a common person, "What's happening? What's that? Which is that huge vehicle which these people are pulling?" So the common mass said, "Arey Bhagwan Jagannath hai." Now they could not pronounce Jagannath, but they were in awe of the spectacle they saw before them. They got back to their camp and they described the entire event. We saw this. So what did you see? Oh, we saw Juggernaut. We saw Juggernaut. Now the people back there did not understand what they were saying. So they asked, "Could you please describe in detail what did you see?" So they described it. There were lots of people who were pulling a huge sized vehicle. So as a result, the word juggernaut came into being and accepted as an English word. So these are, you look at, in fact, each borrowed word has their own history. Okay? So it's an interesting subject which, if you are interested, you should go deep into it. So let's look at the other examples. The word balcony, which we very much use, which we think it's an English word, is originally an Italian word. Even violin is an Italian word. The word kindergarten, KG kahiye, hum KG mein hai bolte hain, the short form, kindergarten, is actually a German word. Right? The word iceberg, okay, it is actually a German word. Resume is a French word. Mayonnaise is a French word. The word yogurt, જેને આપણે દહીં કહીએ છીએ, हम जिसको दही बोलते हैं. In Turkish, it is known as yogurt. Now yogurt. What is the English of dahi? Then people say it's yogurt, but actually it's a Turkish word yogurt. Even kebab. Now, see, Turkish cooking is pretty similar to Indian cooking. So they have dahi there, known as yogurt. They have kebabs there, which is known as kebab. Okay, so we can term kebab as an Indian word and also a Turkish word. Similarly, tsunami and tycoons are Japanese words which are very readily accepted in English. हाँ जी सर क्या हुआ हेलो हेलो हाँ जी एंड करना है ना एंड ही करना है ना कर देती हूँ हेलो व्हाट्सएप ओके ओके शिट Just a moment, students. Okay. Now, okay. So here we end the process is the vocabulary, the unit vocabulary building. We have concluded all the processes, and if you have any doubts, you have very talented faculties back there, so you can contact them if you have any doubts in the lecture which I have given today. Ask them; they'll be able to solve your doubts. It was a wonderful experience, a novel experience, although a new experience for me because I'm more used to having students and the responses, but still I hope I did try to give my best and I tried to give justice to the topic. So thank you, Himanshu sir, for this opportunity. I enjoyed.
Thank you, ma'am. On behalf of Government Engineering College, Bhavnagar, and Vadodara sir, Avuti ma'am, and students and me, obviously, we thank you from the bottom of our heart. But as in all, even if I don't thank you, it's all right. But still, it's a part-time procedure of a formal discussion. So I thank you. And definitely, you will see the comments. It's all overcrowded with students going in flow with you. So just log into GEC BVN students, and you will just find out that students were in tune with it. And I'm sure that they will be demanding more and more lectures from you. If such a demand comes, I'll be once again, calling you up for one more lecture series. Thank you for justifying the topic, ma'am. Have a nice day. Have a nice day, students. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, we are again going to meet with one more faculty, Archana ma'am, who is going to come with one another topic. That's abstract writing. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Have a nice day. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.